Let's get you into your top 5 headlines, Rod. This is how we start Safety Blitz every week. Your 5 biggest takeaways leaving the Sunday, leaving the Monday, leaving a football weekend. Want to start with some offensive lines. You were impressed by the Ravens and the Raiders. How'd they catch your eye?
It just, when you talk about offensive lines, they don't get enough credit. We always talk about the quarterbacks and the star players and the receivers and things like that. But you look at the Ravens and what they were able to do, over 200 yards rushing. They were absolutely outstanding. And the guy that played right tackle last week that stunk, Alejandro Villanueva, he came and moved to the left side, and he had an outstanding game. And that was one of your concerns. Could he replace Ronnie Stanley? And then you talk about the Raiders. They lost their starting center because he got traded. They lost their starting right guard because he got traded. They lost their starting right tackle because he got traded. And the Raiders' offensive line has been fantastic. And that's a big part of why Derek Carr is having success, because he's back there once again behind that cushy offensive line and not getting a lot of pressure put on him.
I don't think anything was more impressive. We're going to get into the Raiders. The Raiders deserve some serious love, and we will get into all of that. I want to hit this Ravens offensive line real quick, though, because you think about the $98 million that they're paying Ronnie Stanley. They gave him all that money about 48 hours before he had a devastating injury to his leg. And so now you look at this offensive line. Alejandro Villanueva goes over to left tackle, and it's really the spot where he's more comfortable. But to see him instantly click in and just go play. I mean, there was 2 horrible early interceptions in this game that Lamar Jackson threw, both of them to the Honey Badger, to Tyrann Mathieu. But the way the offensive line in this run game, in red zone, Lamar Jackson worked their way back. Look how great he is in the red zone. I mean, people just can't get a hand on him. You get him out there in space, he's going to figure out a way to get it across the pylon, and he did time and time again. One more time, I love everything but the flip. It made for a good Instagram post. I got that, but Lamar's taken enough hits as it is. I don't need any somersaults. This offensive line took over the game, and now I think, from what I've been hearing some whispers of, they may take Ronnie Stanley with the ankle injury that he has, move him over to right tackle, keep Villanueva where he's comfortable at left tackle, and have 2 great bookend tackles on the field at the same time. What would you think of that strategy? Give him the opportunity to plant off his healthy ankle over at right tackle for Ronnie Stanley. Could be a dangerous combination for the Ravens.
And, brother, let me tell you something. Right after the game, I got a chance to talk to Coach Harbaugh, just hanging out after the game in the tunnel for about 20 minutes. And that was something that I thought about mentioning to him, but I didn't want to have him give me all the secrets. But, yeah, I think that's absolutely spot on, because you still get the quality and the experience of Ronnie Stanley, but you get him on the other side where he doesn't have to worry about the best pass rusher every single week. So I think it's a great way of keeping him engaged and allowing him to still stay connected to the team and playing and being a productive player.
Let's get you to your second headline here, Rod. Early MVPs. You gave us 3 of them. I want to throw these back your way. Brady, Carr, and Kyler Murray. Why are you high on these guys right now? Who's catching that eye?
Man, come on, man. I mean, these dudes are getting it done. Carr's always complaining. I don't get enough respect. You're not going to get a lot of respect when you check the ball down, but when you start humping that thing down the field, you're going to get all the respect in the world. And he has the talent. He has Darren Waller. He has Hunter Renfrow, a guy that's been very, very consistent for him. I mean, he's got some speed on the outside. I like Tom Brady, 5 touchdowns that he threw last week? Was it 4 or 5 touchdowns? And Kyler Murray was absolutely outstanding. He's single-handedly willing this offense and willing this team to victory. So those are my 3 early ones. What are your thoughts?
Carr blew me away. More than anything, I watched that whole game all the way through, and I'm going, how did they go beat the Steelers? I think first and foremost, Big Ben sort of starting to look like a bit of a shell of himself. He just athletically, he used to be able to create a first and a second, a third play, and he can't really do that anymore. But Carr was just so on the money. I mean, if you go watch every play of this game, the number one thing that'll stand out, look at this. This is a 3rd and long, 3rd and 10. Henry cutting up a rug right down the middle of the defense for a post running by everybody, and Carr couldn't have put that ball any more perfectly under pressure if he tried. Please, Rob, what'd you see?
Hey, and then you see the safety who was on the ground. That was Mika Fitzpatrick. So not only did he beat the corner, but he beat one of the top middle of the field safeties. I'm talking about a guy that is absolutely outstanding. You know, whether he's playing nickelback, whether he's playing in the deep middle, Carr threw that where only the receiver could go get it. He led him. It was absolutely unbelievable what he was able to do. And then think about last week what he did against the Ravens. He attacked their $90 million cornerback, Marlon Humphrey. He went right at him with their fourth wide receiver. So it just shows you not only does he have confidence, but he has confidence in all of his players. And it's just really nice to see that Derek Carr is starting to get some love, because before I was just calling him check down Charlie.
And Brian Edwards looks like a great wide receiver, too. I don't know if you've been seeing Edwards. This is back-to-back weeks. He should have had another touchdown in this game. I thought it was an awesome play design, too. They sort of – I mean, honestly, if you go rewatch the first half of the game, the Raiders should have been up 21-7. They played so badly once they would get down around the red area, where there was like a false start, a drop snap, penalty on the down, throw a touchdown. There's a penalty. Edwards, that touchdown had to come back. So they were making mistake after mistake after mistake, kept having to settle for field goals instead of what should have been touchdowns. But when you think about Brian Edwards and Renfro and Waller, another tight end in Monroe they've been getting the ball to, Ruggs going with the deep threat. Talk about Josh Jacobs, who was hurt in this game. They went into Pittsburgh and knocked off the Steelers after they had just beat the Bills without Josh Jacobs, one of their best players in that offense. I don't know what this team doesn't have. That's what I left this game thinking. I think the Raiders are a playoff team at least, and I think they might be dangerous once they get in there. What do you think about that, Rod? Those were my thoughts watching this game back.
Dude, I'm pumped up because, and it's not necessarily for the offense that I'm really loving the Raiders. I'm really loving their defense, and it's not a lot of big names, anything like that, but guys, Max Crosby, and that leads me to my third takeaway. Max Crosby is the defensive player of the year right now. He's been absolutely outstanding, and I know everybody gauges stuff on sacks. I think he has a couple sacks, but he's leading the league in quarterback hits, pressures. I mean, he's all over the place, and even more importantly than that, the fact that this guy's playing with so much energy, and he's getting all these other players flying around. I mean, when you watch the Raiders play, this guy is just a psycho out there going crazy. And guess what? Now you got Abram coming. Now you got KJ Wright. You got all these other guys combining, and the Raiders are flying around, believing in themselves. They're playing physical. They're stopping the run. Hey, John Gruden, you got to give him some props, man. He's got this team right where he wants them. And this is what, year 4 of his regime right now, I think it is?
And they're playing so hard for him. You're drilling the points right there. I mean, they're just playing hard. They're playing championship football for Gruden is what they're doing. I mean, we just went off on the offense. Now you're starting to mention some of these defenders. And Ngakoue, he's been tough. Casey Hayward Jr., he's been awesome on the back end. You mentioned Max Crosby.
Awesome.
19 total pressures he had. The next closest on the team, he had 19 talking about Crosby, you just mentioned. Next closest is 9 with Ngakoue. So he is just pulling away from everybody. 8 quarterback hits for Crosby. Next closest on the team is 2. 9 quarterback hurries. That leads the team too. So you mentioned that he's a lesser name right now. May be true with Crosby, but he may be looking for one of those big money paydays, and he's earning it right now. Rod, what do you think? They may have to pay this guy eventually.
Hey, obviously I love the kid and the young man. If I'm sitting here saying he's the defensive player of the year right now, you still, TJ Watt had a 2 or 3 sacks, and you still got Aaron Donald and some other guys out there. Yeah, but this kid, he's bringing that energy and look, we fell in love with him last year, but the Raiders lost a lot of close ones, and now this year they're winning. Now he's starting to get the props that he deserves. And let me tell you, when you're a great defensive player and you play hard and you play with a lot of energy, other guys want a piece of that. Other guys want to follow you. And that's exactly what I see him from a leadership standpoint.
Carl Nassib's been very tough, too. He's long over there. He can really get those offensive linemen off him, and he brings some thunder, too, when he hits you. Carl Nassib, want to give him a little bit of love, too. Let's get to Lamar Jackson. Lamar bringing this team back. I mean, we're sitting there. We have this great trailer, Rodney. We have this, home on the road. We live on the road, so they brought this home out there for us. We got all these TVs. We can watch the game, all these different angles and everything. It's my favorite day of the week, hanging out with you watching football. And Lamar throws these 2 early interceptions and brings this team all the way back. Just describe for me this performance, this Lamar Jackson performance. He's looking for $200 million plus to go beat Mahomes. What'd you see?
Brother, if I were the Baltimore Ravens, I would have took him in a small room and said, let's hammer out this contract. Because the more you wait on Lamar, the more it's going to cost you. I mean, for this guy, and to show the level of mental toughness and the maturity to overcome those 2 interceptions, and then not only 2 interceptions, but a pick 6. Normally when you see a quarterback with an average mindset, he's done after 2 interceptions, let alone 2 interceptions and a pick 6. And this guy, he just kept fighting, kept clawing. And that just shows you to make up to the team. Props out to Coach Harbaugh. He is that dude, keeping these guys engaged, keeping them together. And even when we talked to Hollywood Brown, we talked to him about Coach Harbaugh. And he was like, yeah, man, that guy deserves a lot of the credit because he keeps us together. But Lamar, man, the mental toughness, the physical toughness, the love that he got from his teammates. And then you got the head coach asking you. This is how much they think of Lamar. The head coach is asking you, Lamar, do you want to go for it? I absolutely love that. I will never, ever forget that moment in my life. I mean, look at it. He's asking. This is a coach that's won a Super Bowl, coach that's been highly successful, a well-respected coach, one of the top 5 coaches in the National Football League. He's asking his quarterback, do you want to go for it? That's how much belief that he has in Lamar. That's the type of belief that he has in his team. So props out to Coach Harbaugh. Props out to Lamar. Lamar, you are everything. Lamar. Man, it's going to be hard to bet against you again, bro.
You said that so well, I almost just want to move on to another topic. I mean, you just hit everything I want to hit, but I kind of just want to emphasize a bit of it. I loved Hollywood Brown as well at the very end of the game. When we were talking to him on the field, we had the marching band behind us. It's like a college football atmosphere there in Baltimore. Yeah, the marching band, I mean, it's like we're doing the pregame show, Rod, and they got a full about 100-person deep marching band just marching into the stadium. I've never seen anything like it. There's like 300 people around our set going nuts. They got their faces painted. This is a football town there in Baltimore. And when Hollywood Brown said, I take moments throughout a game when Lamar, like that perfect deep ball he put on, he said, I pull him aside, whether it's halftime over on the sideline, I tell him, you are one of the truly great quarterbacks, not only playing right now, that has ever played this game. You do it your way. You play it with your style. And he takes moments right now. He said, I don't want to wait till he's gone. I don't want to wait till his career's over. I want to tell Lamar Jackson right now how great he is. That friendship between wide receiver and star quarterback, it's pretty awesome to watch. Over 100 yards and a touchdown for Hollywood Brown, too.
Hey, brother, let me tell you something. And that's why I'm enjoying so much being on the road with you, because we get a chance. I mean, we're football fans, first and foremost. We're football fans. And we get a chance to get on that field and be 10, 15 yards away from seeing Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Tyrann Mathieu, all these superstars in the National Football League. So we're out there like kids in a candy store. We get a chance to interview these guys, but to see what these guys get to do up close and personal, man, it's just a different level of quarterback. And look, when I saw Michael Vick and played against Michael Vick, I'm like, oh my God. And that's Lamar Jackson plus Patrick Mahomes. Like, it's just incredible to be able to see and be able to witness what we see every single week. Props out to Lamar. You made it, dog, on my top 5 takeaways. We still got one more to go, though.
100%. 100%. We got one more to go, and I'm always kind of going, like, why is Kansas City not selling out to try to just stop this run game? And I think the answer is pretty simple. It's the same for the rest of the league. They can't. They can't stop the run. There's so many different players going so many different ways, and the way they're hitting them with these blocks. Now Lamar's running. Now the running back's running. Now the receivers coming across. They just do so many different things within this run game. People just can't stop it. Let's get you to your number 1 takeaway.
Hold on, Jack. Jack.
Please.
And the one thing that we forgot to mention, think about their defense and how they're built. Their defense is built to play from ahead. They're used to having 2 and 3 touchdown leads. So now you get Frank Clark, you get Chris Jones, you get all these pass rushers. They're able to pin their ears back and get after the quarterback. Because now instead of running the ball, if you're an opponent, you got to come out and you have to pass the ball. So this defense is kind of like the old Indianapolis coach that Coach Dungy used to have. They're built to play from ahead because they're so used to playing from ahead. And that's why they can't stop the run, because they got these small guys. I mean, they got some big guys in there, but they're just not a run-stopping team, and that's going to cost them come playoff time if they don't get it corrected.
Mm-hmm. And they're going to have to be dealing with the Raiders, who we were just talking about, who look pretty darn good over there in the AFC West as well. Let's get you to your 5th takeaway. Carson Wentz. Injuries, struggles continue. Wentz with a new team now. Are you believing in who he is overall now that he's in Indy? Or where are you leaning with this one?
No. I never believed in him. I mean, even when he was in Philly, I wasn't a big believer in him. He's in a situation now You got everything in front of you. You have an offensive line. And how can a quarterback make an offensive line look bad? He holds the ball too much. He just sits there and he holds the ball. I'm sitting there watching tape, and all he has to do is check it down. And it's like he's so afraid to just get rid of the ball. And it's amazing to me. And like, you got Quentin Nelson blocking in front of you. You got all these good dudes getting paid a lot of money. And you got skilled players. You got running backs that can catch the ball out of the backfield, and he's hurt. He can't complete passes down the field. He's inconsistent. He looks confused. And I just think that Frank Wright and everybody put so much on this guy. He has so much pressure on himself that he's just not a very good player at this point in time. And this might be a disaster this year. If he can't get it corrected, he got to get himself healthy, both physically and mentally. He has to be ready, but he holds on to the ball entirely too long, Jack.
He does, and that creates a lot of problems. Now he has 2 sprained ankles, and athleticism is a big part of his game. Even when he's throwing the ball, the ability to move around and create those second launch points is a big part of what he does. 2 sprained ankles at the same time. Pretty tough to be able to go do everything that he wants to do. I mean, you think about his career, though, and he was, during that Super Bowl year, playing essentially MVP-level football. I mean, kind of just putting the ball wherever that year. Then he gets hurt, doesn't end up taking him all the way through the championship game. And now it's kind of fallen apart for personal reasons up there with Doug Peterson. They didn't seem to be getting along. You just sort of saw it just pulling apart at the seams. Now he goes to Indy, and you're trying to recreate it. Now he's injured. We're not even out of September football yet. I'm not totally willing to dump on everything that he is yet, knowing that he's banged up. I want to see how the rest of the season plays out. But with that offensive line, with some of the young weapons they have there in Indy, I'm with you. You want to see this thing happen for him, or I don't know where the next stop on his train would be. It's just wild to me how fast this thing's gone downhill for Carson Wentz.
Yeah, and they need to commit to running the football. I don't know why these head coaches and these offensive coordinators, they're so stuck on trying to sling the rock around. You got that offensive line. Put Jonathan Taylor, a guy that runs a 4.3 and he's 230 pounds. Look, I was a physical safety, and I don't want to hit somebody that runs a 4.3, 230 every single play. Like, run the football. Then you can set up the play action pass, the bootlegs, and all the different things, the screens, and the dump offs to Nyheim Hines. Like, they have a really good defense. But when you have bad quarterback play, it affects everybody, because now all of a sudden your defense starts to press thinking, okay, we have to create turnovers because our offense can't score. And it shouldn't be like that, man. He's got everything set up in front of him. He's got offensive line. He's got weapons. He's got tight ends. He's got a really good head coach as an offensive coordinator. If he can't succeed here, then he should be out the league, or he's going to be a backup quarterback. But he's got everything at his disposal, and he's still not getting it done.
And now he's got all that and 2 sprained ankles. He may be at the top of the list of guys who needs to turn the page. Just turn that page. It's Turn the Page Tuesday when we come back on the other side. His team's looking for a little new energy up next.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.